Perceive, process, perform. Do you need inspiration for your practice, or do you simply need to practice inspiration? With this series, we aim to do both. Give us 15 minutes and we'll give you practice inspiration.
Hello, my name is Joshua Austin, and I'm a general dentist in San Antonio, Texas, and a member of the Alamo Collaborative Dental Forum Study Club. I want to talk to you today about how to launch a small-scale PR campaign for your practice. I was fortunate enough to be appointed to the ADA Council on Communications and served for 4 years on that council. When I went onto that council, I wasn't really sure what they did. I thought maybe they had something to do with the ADA News or JADA or any of the email newsletters that come out, and it turns out that was all wrong. What the ADA Council on Communications does is it handles public relations and helping turn the tide on how the public feels and values dentistry. So I got to spend 4 years working directly with communications professionals, helping shape how the public feels about dentistry. So when I had a problem in my practice and wanted to address that problem, I tried to view that problem from a communication professional's perspective instead of a dentist perspective, and I came up with this neat little PR campaign. I'm going to start by showing you sort of the end of the campaign, and then we'll get into the meat of it as we go along. This is towards the end of the campaign, and obviously this is a facetious this is all sort of tongue-in-cheek, and I'm talking about my post here that says, "This is Derek Delta, heir to the Delta Dental Insurance fortune." Now obviously, Delta Dental Insurance Company isn't a family-owned company. There's nobody named Jim Delta somewhere, and he doesn't have a son named Derek. It's all facetious, it's all tongue-in-cheek. But the problem I was having in my practice was that people and patients were undervaluing dentistry and overvaluing their dental insurance and letting their dental insurance make decisions about their treatment. And I wanted to show people that dental insurance companies aren't necessarily in it with the patient's best interest in mind. So this is where we got, and I had this idea. Now, the rest of the advertisement copy that you see on the Facebook post here says, "Don't let him make your oral health care decisions. He only cares about profits." Click below to learn 3 keys about dental insurance. Now, this advertisement went to Facebook. It also went to Instagram, which you see here. And within about a week and a half or so, it got 134 likes on Facebook and around 150 likes on Instagram. When they clicked on that, when a person clicked on that, they went to a section on my website, on my blog, about this particular thing. And it says the same thing. This is Derek Delta, heir to the Delta Dental Insurance fortune, and he doesn't care about your oral health care. He cares about profits. And it went on to a list of 3 things that people should know about their dental insurance. So if you notice, flipping through Facebook or any of those things, there's a lot of sites like BuzzFeed and Vox. They love to put out articles that are lists. People love to read lists. So if you number a list, then people are more likely to click on it. So that's why it was written this way. And I kept the number small, 3, to make it more manageable to read. There's certainly probably 30 things that we could write that people should know about their dental insurance, but you want to keep it short. There's a phenomenon on the internet called TLDR, which stands for too long didn't read. So anytime you make anything like this that you post out for the public to read, you want to try to keep it short and succinct. So that's how we ended up with 3 things to know about your dental insurance. We tracked the hits on this, and within 1 week, we had 131 people in specific zip codes right around my office that read this article. And that's exactly what I wanted. So let's go through and let's talk about how I put this all together, because any one of you could do this exact same thing. It all starts with a message. I had a message that I wanted to get out. That message was, do not let dental insurance companies dictate your treatment decisions. Make those decisions on your own, and if dental insurance comes into play later, that's fine, but you need to be your advocate of your own oral health. From there, I had to figure out who the audience was, what my angle was, how do I make it relevant to the audience, the copy of that, the actual ad words that went into it, how do I distribute it, and the metrics. The message is the key part. This all starts with a message. You have to have a message that you want the audience to know. You may not have something right now that you want to get out there, that you don't want to do a PR campaign about, and that's totally fine. But if you do, if there's a message that you want to get out to prospective patients or your current patients, then this is a really good way to do that. And it all starts with the message. That's where the authenticity comes from, and everything else is derived from that. So what do you want the audience to know? Like I said, for me, it was stop letting dental insurance dictate your treatment. The audience became very easy. So for me, it was the people in my area, the patients in my area who were of a certain demographic and lived in certain zip codes that I wanted to see this message, because I wanted to appeal to them and to patients who are thinking more about their overall oral health than what their dental insurance covers to come into my practice to receive comprehensive dental care. The angle is, how do you make this message relevant? All of us can sit for hours and talk to patients about how they should be their own oral health care advocate and make their own decisions based on our recommendations, but that the decision is theirs and not their dental insurance companies. But that doesn't make it interesting to the audience. The audience needs to have some buy-in. They need to be interested and have their interest piqued by the particular advertisement. So how do you do that? What's the angle? For this particular ad campaign, it was the sort of funniness and the tongue-in-cheek nature of the Derek Delta and sort of the idea of the rich heir of the big corporation that only cares about profits. It was obviously tongue-in-cheek, and it was easy to see that right away, but humor is a very effective method at forming your angle. So using humor appropriately can really help to get people to take action on what you're trying to get them to see and take action on your message. The copy was the actual way that the advertisement was written. And I will admit that there was probably some creativity in coming up with the angle and the copy of that. But at the end of the day, I honestly think that any one of us, given enough time and just sitting around thinking about it, could come up with something easily as funny and as creative as the Derek Delta campaign was. So the copy is the actual words that you use in the advertisement. This is Derek Delta, the heir to the Delta dental insurance fortune, ... That's the actual words that go into your advertisement. The distribution is really important. How are you going to get people to see this message? There's lots of different ways that you could do it. You could do radio advertisements, you could do TV advertisements, you could do direct mail. Certainly, those are all viable methods of disseminating your message. However, I feel that social media is the best way to do that. And I think that way for a couple of different reasons. Number one is with social media, you can really target down who you want to see your message. If I only want people in a certain zip code to see that message that are a certain age range and of a certain gender, I can easily set those parameters within Facebook. With television, you can't do that. Anybody who has a television turned on to the channel that your advertisement is on gets to see your message, whether they're 75 miles away from your office or right down the street. So you're spending a lot of capital on advertising to people that aren't in your core demographic. So I think social media is the perfect way to disseminate a message like this for a small-scale PR campaign. Target just the people that are important to your practice and that will receive some benefit from your message. Now, when communications professionals think about distribution, they think about it this way. They think about it in the form of something called PESO. And we're going to go through what all of those things mean. PESO stands for paid, earned, shared, and owned media. Paid media is exactly what it sounds like. It's things you pay for. Banner ads, boosted posts on Facebook, radio time, TV time, those advertisements that YouTube makes you watch before you can watch the video that you actually want to watch, whatever cat video or dog video it may be, those are all paid media. So that's an important part of a distribution channel for your PR campaign. Earned media really sort of falls within the realm of traditional PR firm techniques. That's trying to get an article in a newspaper or something on the news, getting a professional blogger to write about it. This is something like if you had a patient who was a producer on the local morning show and could get you a segment on the morning show. This is sort of that kind of thing. It doesn't generally apply to us in dentistry unless you have a special relationship like that or if you use a PR firm. But if you're doing a small-scale PR campaign, I'm assuming you're doing most of this in-house. And so we're going to kind of skip over the earned part of it. The shared part of it is important with social media. Have you ever heard the term of something going viral? I'm sure you have. That doesn't mean that they just contracted herpes simplex virus 1. What it means is that people took that content and shared it out all over the internet to all of their friends and their followers. So when someone writes a really catchy, funny, cool ad campaign, sometimes that can go viral and be shared amongst that company's followers and friends. That would be great. I wish I could tell you there was a magic formula to making something go viral. If I could tell you that, I'd be a billionaire. It's not possible. Sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle, but even though something doesn't get shared a million times, doesn't mean having it shared a few times is not extremely beneficial. So the more creative something is, the more, the funnier it is, the catchier something is, the more likely it is to get shared, and the more likely it is for you to get more eyes on it without paying anything for those extra eyes to see it. The last part is owned media. That's the O in peso. Those are things that you own. Your website, your blog, your newsletter, your social media channels, right? Those are all things that you own and that you can disseminate messages on through that. So for me, I use my blog as part of my own media to distribute this message. That was that blog article that gave people 3 reasons and 3 things to know about their dental insurance. So the owned portion of this is going to be very important in your small scale PR campaign. So the last part of this, and a very important part, is tracking it. Because if we don't track it, how can we know how effective it is? So how do you track your message's effectiveness? And that can be a tough one. Do you remember how I showed you the screen grab a few screens ago about all the hits that I had gotten on the web page about this article? This one right here, if you look at that number 2, 131 hits on the web page on this particular article in 1 week. So 131 people read this article in a week. That's my metric. That's how I know. Now, when someone calls the office to make an appointment, they're probably not going to say that they found my office because of the Delta Dental Insurance ad that they saw or the Derek Delta Insurance ad they saw. They're going to say they found me on the internet. And so sometimes you have to suss out in a further interview with the patient is where they actually found, if that's actually how they found you, or if they found you on one of your other online activities. But I do think having something like this that's a link to a website that specifically shows you numbers and traffic generated from your particular campaign is really vital in knowing, does this message resonate with my audience? Do they think it's witty? Do they think it's fun? And are they consuming the message? So you have to track what you do in order to know if it's actually effective. So at the end of the day and at the end of all of this, I think it's important to understand a couple different things. First off, don't feel intimidated if you don't have any great ideas about a small-scale public relation campaign to put out there. It took me a long time to come up with that idea, and it started with having a problem in the practice. Once I had a problem in the practice, I was able to think about things in a way to try to come up with something to address the problem. And I think that's how it should start. Everything starts with the message and gets built out from there. So come up with your message. Find out what's passionate, what in your practice do you have some passion about? What do you want to inform the public around your office about? And what do you want people to know? Once you have that, the rest of it kind of falls in line and is pretty easy. Once again, my name is Dr. Joshua Austin. I practice in San Antonio, Texas, and this has been your Practice Inspiration.